I am back with a new extension of the H&H dual chainwheel installation series. It looks like this topic is never going to end, but the fact is that there are so many aspects to making this work. Obviously, Brompton could have made it work a lot easier for us, but it looks like we are going to have to do this most important upgrade. I'm going to start with one of the images that was included in the previous video. In fact, there are 3 images I want to look at. Check out this dual chainwheel setup. This is a Brompton G-Line. This is not similar to my Brompton Steel Frame Classic. This is definitely not an H&H upgrade. They have what to me looks like the original Brompton single chainwheel with another smaller chainwheel attached to it. I don't know the size. It does look like a 30 something. It looks very much like my smaller chainwheel. And here you see a Shimano Derailleur. If you watched the previous videos I have published in this series, there is a playlist, there is a link below. You can check them out. I currently have this installed, everything is working, and I'm shifting manually. And that's the problem. I will show you later in this video how to downshift just using your foot. It's actually a very easy thing to do, but upshifting to move the chain from the small chainwheel to the big one cannot be done by foot. If you don't have a derailleur or some sort of a system to do this job, you will have to get off the bike and use a tool or your hands to move the chain over, which is time consuming. Often it is oily and just a nasty business. Here's the same project looking at it from the top. Notice that the original Shimano does not have a ring. These are the kind of installations where you have to have some sort of a base, some sort of an adapter locked onto the seat post tube. And that's what you see here. But other than that, it works like any other bike. You just move this derailleur part in or out. And you are attaching a shifter to it. There's a cable. This Shimano 2-speed shifter is as ugly as it gets. I would not put it on my bike, but it works. It has 2 speeds, a high and a low. If you find something nicer and it has 3 speeds, I think it's still going to work. You just leave one of the speeds empty. This is the Shimano Sora derailleur we are talking about. You can get it from Amazon. It's really not expensive, but consider the weight. This thing weighs a ½ pound. You add the cable, the shifter, you are probably going to be close to a pound for adding this thing on. Here is a video of how the shifting works. Very neat, although the derailleur is almost as big as the chainwheel. This is a pretty massive size derailleur. And it is not the same as the other Shimano. I think this is a different model. And I'm giving you links below to all of these resources so you can see how the shifting is done. All you need to do is push the chain right or left before it hits the chain wheel. That's really as easy as this. You see that? And the chain is already moving on to the big chain wheel. This is something you can do in downshifting mode by kicking the chain a little bit. It's really just a light touch that you need to do. I actually looked up the derailleur that we were just looking at in action. It is pretty expensive. Once again, this is a ½ pound of weight and just very expensive. Another Shimano. Just make sure you understand that if the mount type is brace on, that means you have to have some kind of a base attached to the bike frame so that you could bolt this into that base. If you want a derailleur without that brace, a derailleur that you can just screw right onto the frame, those are available. Here is yet another Shimano. At least this one is cheap and it is pretty light as well. Make sure to check out the links below. It has that round shaped screw-on part that most of us would probably want. It allows you to bolt it right onto the Brompton tube. But keep in mind the diameter may not be accurate, which means you have to shim it. Shimano and also a bunch of other companies sell all kinds of shims and adapters. or you can make one of your own out of rubber, out of pieces of bean cans, which I have done before. It's really not a big deal to do it. So this is definitely an option. And it is just a very nice way to shift. It is kind of heavy and busy. You have to add an extra cable, but look at how smoothly it shifts. You can shift up and down in traffic, gaining so much in speed and time average, and also in acceleration. Now, the last one I'm going to show you is a solution that is completely out of this world. It's individualistic, and it weighs a total of 10 grams. Check this out, under 10 grams in fact. This man is in Germany, and he went down to Italy with this setup. Look at the length of this travel. Not even from southern Germany, all the way down to Sicily. That must have been a job sitting on the tiny narrow seat of a Brompton TI. Here is his travel configuration. Obviously, your time averages would be way better, especially on a long trip like that, if you could shift up and down, if you had more than just the 4-gear cassette in the rear that the standard Brompton TI comes with. And you need to watch my videos on saddles and read my books about suspension and saddle technology, because nobody should be traveling internationally on a tiny saddle like this. I mean, this is seriously dangerous to your health. If he's adding some comfort features like here in the front, he could hang on to the handlebar with greater comfort, then why not upgrade the saddle and do something with this seat post as well? It looks uncomfortable even just looking at it. But in any case, this man invented his own derailleur. The downshift is okay because you can just gently kick the chain and the chain is going to fall onto this small chain ring. Upshifting, not so much. You would have to be able to push the chain back on, which is not possible with the sole of your shoes. But check out what he has invented. He's got this wire tie, a long one, with a magnet on the end. It's tied to the triangle at the bottom, and there is a magnet at the upper end so that it always sticks to the frame. The whole thing is less than 10 grams. He grabs it manually as he rides it, and that's enough to push the chain to the right. So this was like a kick, like when you kick the chain to go down to the lower gear. Watch him. He pushes the chain with his finger. Something you can do with your foot as you're riding. Ta-da! And it was very easy. The chain went right over. But what about getting the chain back up? How is he going to get it back up to the larger chain wheel? And check this out. He removes the magnet, and he easily moves the column to the right. And you saw that? He moves the column to the right, that wire tie, which is made out of plastic, and that's enough to shift up. Whoa. So with this technique, there is very lightweight, less than 10 grams, very easy installation. You only need to tie this thing to the triangle and screw on a magnet. I mean, you will have to find a magnet, and I'm not sure if you've replaced this post with steel or how this attachment is working. I am assuming you could just use a rubber band and just rubber band this thing around so that it doesn't fall away, and you can just reach down and stretch the rubber, and you could do it like that. Since this is so lightweight and since it is made out of plastic, it's going to wear out fairly quickly. I am assuming you could put a very lightweight aluminum or titanium bar here, something very light, like a very long chopstick kind of a thing. I wonder if I might be able to reach down with a chopstick, but in any case, attaching it to the triangle works, and maybe even a metal bar could do this trick. Here is a close-up of how the wire tie is installed. So you see that it's really very easy. You just hook it into a hole, and you have a stable connection at the bottom. It's not touching the chain wheel in any way. But it is plastic, so it is going to wear down fairly quickly. So maybe you need a new one every 6 months. And he found a way to attach a magnet to this with a screw. Or is it not a magnet and maybe the seat post is not steel? There is some kind of attachment there. I'm thinking I would probably do this with a metal bar and just use a rubber band to keep it in place at the top. You're basically replicating the derailleur that is attached to the cable, but there's no cable. You could probably hand move the derailleur over, and that's the derailleur. So there's no metal used here, and that's why it is so light. But this is really a magnet. That's what it looks like. Not sure where you get a tiny magnet like this, but let me show you how the riding is done. So here he is, and he is going to kick the chain just a little bit. I've done it many times. At first it feels strange, but it's not difficult at all. See, he clicks it and it falls over, and he's now got it on the smaller chain wheel. Very easy, but shifting up, not so easy. So he reaches down and he grabs this homemade plastic derailleur and he moves it out toward the right. Again, does not need to be a big move, and you don't need to hold on to it very long. See, the chain is already shifting over. And he moved it by 1.5 inches, something like that. It's not a big job. Although I guess it might get annoying after a while if you're on a long trip. If you had to reach down several dozen times, that's how he does it. But he's certainly saving at least 0.5 pound on the weight, if not more than that. And here it is, just sitting by itself, attached by some magnet, but it could be a different attachment as well. There we go. Make sure to check the links below, and if you're working on H&H and installing your own derailleur or derailleur replacement, such as this one, make sure to let me know what is working for you. I might try out a wire tie or something like that just to see if that would work. That would mean I would not have to worry about all these cables, all this tightening. But on the other hand, using the conventional derailleur just makes it so easy to shift over several times in a 5-minute period. When you're going uphill, downhill in a city, I think it really makes a difference to have that convenience. Let me know what you think. I am happy to announce an update to my shopping page. I have removed a lot of this stuff because all of the Amazon links that I have are now over on my Amazon front page. I am providing a link below. This is my book. This is all of the other stuff I recommend. And I have some t-shirts and hoodies as well. These are my own designs. And you can select them right down here. A separate link for the t-shirts, separate link for the hoodies. You can even get to Brompton and Zooter and some of the other things that you can buy from Amazon. And as well as a lot of accessories that I recommend, the grips I recommend, the brakes, the helmets, the tires, the winter stuff, the saddle, the tools, everything I believe in that Amazon has. Now Amazon doesn't have everything, so some of the stuff I have left in my original shopping page that's still at the same URL. You can check out these companies. I am not actually making any money on these links, but I think it's important for you to have access to these technologies, and these are the bikes I recommend. If you ever wonder what the full list of my recommendations are, this is the full list. Check it out. And of course, this is my book and a link to the Amazon storefront. This is it for now, and
I'll be back.